time in your testimony. Are there questions? Representative Labriola.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you for coming here, Dominic. Thank you for all your advocacy around the state for several years now. We were talking before this hearing started, and you mentioned that though you've testified by Zoom before this committee in recent years, this is the first time you've testified in person in about 10 years.
That's right, since 2012.
So first, did you want to finish your statement?
Well, no, I think that my statement was complete. There's a lot of examples. I can talk about Alaska and examples, but it's all about confusion and complication, and really it causes a problem for voters who we already struggle. And last year, just in 2022, we only had a 52% turnout of voters in Connecticut, and that was based on all voters that are registered to vote. We got to do better, and we can't make it more confusing. Otherwise, we're going to go in the other direction.
Well, I do have one follow-up question. As you know, here in Connecticut, we're operating on our Constitution from 1966, because in 1962, the legislature that was elected actually held over their offices, even though they all had 2-year terms until 1960. Everybody was elected in 62, stayed in office until 66, because the U.S. Supreme Court issued its decision regarding one man, one vote, and that the Connecticut House of Representatives was unconstitutional.
Right.
Because prior to that, actually every city had 2 state representatives. Hartford had 2 state representatives, and Derby had 2 state representatives. And so the Supreme Court deemed that framework, as other states too that had that, was in violation of one man, one vote. It was deemed to be unconstitutional, so we had to adopt a new constitution. So I hadn't really thought about or heard the argument about the violation of one person, one vote as a reason to not adopt ranked choice voting. But I wonder if you could expand on, I guess the idea is that these voters or the candidates who drop out would effectively have 2 votes or more, and that's potentially unconstitutional.
Well, it's certainly, we're going to have to amend our Constitution here in Connecticut to even adopt this. We're talking about a long runway for this to happen. But, we've had one voter, one vote. It's been our practice in our country for over 240 years, right? That's the principle. Everybody understands that. Even if they didn't do well in civics, they kind of understand they get one vote, they get one chance to make it right. We want our voters to be engaged. We want to make sure that they learn as much as they can about every candidate, let alone 5 candidates. And so what happens is you don't have time in our busy lives. I often alert about the 3rd or 4th or 5th candidate. And what happens, you don't even fill them out. And if your first choice is not selected in the first rounds, then you may end up having no vote in the final tally. So I think it's important that we keep it simple, right? And we make sure that is our guiding principle, is to keep it simple and keep it something people understand. And then let's focus on having great candidates and inspirational campaigns to get people out to vote.
Thank you again, Dominic. Thank you.
Thank you, Representative.